on lesson 11A, and this is continued. I got cut short because I was burning my bread. So here we go. This is from 11A, and what I'm going to do is this is number 9, and this is what it tells me. The slope is 5, and they give me this point 1, 2. So remember, it says given the slope of the line and a point on the line, this is just any old point, describe the following lines using the slope-intercept form. Okay, here's the slope-intercept form. Remember, we do not have the y-intercept. So what we're going to have to do is, since this is any point on the line, this is my x and this is my y value. So what I can do right here where I see a y, I'm going to plug in my y value, which is 2. My slope is 5. My x value is 1. Remember, when they're written right beside each other, that means to times, so that's why I wrote it like that, plus b. So I have this, 5 times 1 is 5. To get b by itself, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. So I'm going to get that b equals -3. Now I can use this equation up here and I can plug in my value for my slope, my m, and my y-intercept, which is my b value. So my final answer is 5x minus 3. Okay, so that is number 9. All right, let's try another one. I'm going to do number 12 because I see that it has a fraction. It tells me my slope is 1/2, and it gives me the point 2, 2. I don't really like the fact that they picked this point just because both my x and my y values happen to be the same. I'll try to hold it real still, okay, because it makes them dizzy. Okay, so right here where I see my y, I'm going to plug in this y value. My slope is 1/2. My x value is 2 plus b. Now, you're either good at multiplying fractions or you're not. If you're not, use your calculator. But these 2's would cancel, leaving me with 1. So if you're going to solve for b, subtract 1 from both sides. And so you get b equals 1. So notice I know my b, my y-intercept, and I know my slope, so I can plug this in. Notice it's your slope, and then don't forget your x, and then my y-intercept is 1. So that's that right there, okay? Now, let me do one that has maybe a negative in it real quick. How about number 14? We're going to do several of these. But my slope tells me is -1/4, and then it gives me this point right here. Okay, you're going to start all these the same. Remember, this is your little x, and this is their little y value. So here, my y value is 1. My slope is -1/4 times x. My x value is 2. If you want to, you could write that as a fraction, plus b. Okay, negative times a positive is negative. If you multiply these two together, use your calculator, or notice that 2, we're going to 4 twice. So you're going to get a -1/2 plus b. Okay, now you want to move this to the other side. This is a -1/2, so you're going to have to add 1/2. 1 plus 1/2, you find a common denominator, do what you got to do, but you're going to get 3/2 equals b. Okay, you can see that's 1.5. I'd rather you write, think about it, if this is 1.5, hopefully everybody remembers how to change that into an improper fraction. You remember you multiply, 2 times 1 is 2, and then add 1 more and you get 3. Okay, anyway, here's your y-intercept, here's your slope, so now you can write your equation for your line. It's y equals your slope times x plus your b value. So that's that right there. Okay, so that's number 14. All right, now this is kind of cool. When you get to number 15, they only give you 2 points. They give you these points right here. Now, granted, you could do this. You could graph these, and maybe I should find a little graph paper because mine are yucky. Okay, here's one. Just a minute. I just ripped it. Oh well, here we go. In my excitement. Okay, you could do this. You could do this the old-fashioned way. You could go over 2 and up 3. I could go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I could draw my line. It's wanting an equation for this line. Okay, hopefully you remember how to find your slope. And notice you went up 2 and over 2, which is a slope of 1. Okay? But I want to show you that given 2 points, you can find the slope without graphing it. And this is what I want you to practice doing. So notice I just threw that away. When you find the slope, remember slope is defined as the rise over the run. And if you think about it, when you go up and down, that's your rise, that's the y-axis. And your run is when you go back and forth, and that's your y-axis. So when you're looking for your slope, it says take your y values and subtract them. Take your x values and subtract them. And I just put these little 1s and 2s down there just to say, hey, these are two different points. So notice here, these are x's and y's up here on your points. And what my equation says to do is take your y values and subtract them. You can subtract in any order you want. I'm going to do it both ways just so you can see. I'm going to try it first, 5 minus 3. So you're going to take your y's and subtract them on the top. And then if you're going to pick the 5 first on the top, then you need to pick the 4 first on the bottom. So I'm going to do 4 minus 2. And notice you get 2 over 2, which is 1. Same thing I got over here with the slope is 1, except this time I didn't have to graph it. Okay, now watch this. Would I get the same thing? Remember I did 5 minus 3? Would I get the same thing if I would have done 3 minus 5? Well, let's try it. 3 minus 5, and since I picked the 3 first, then I have to pick the 2 first on the bottom. So I would do 2 minus 4. Notice I would get negative 2 over negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive 1. So it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get a slope of 1. Okay, now look what it says on number 15, the directions. It says, given 2 points on a line, find the slope. Did it. And find the y-intercept of the line. So to find the y-intercept, you're going to use this lovely equation and pick any point you want. I'm just going to, it doesn't matter, you will get the same answer. That's what's so cool. I'm going to pick this point. So for my y, I'm going to plug in 3. For my slope, we found the slope to be 1. My x value is 2. Make sure you use the same point, okay? If you're going to use your 3 from this point, make sure you use the x on this one. You can't use part of this point and part of that point. Okay, so when you solve this, subtract 2 from both sides, you're going to get b equals 1. So now you have your y-intercept, now you have your slope, so you can write your equation. Y equals 1x plus b. Your b is 1. Okay, that is in slope-intercept form. Guess, see, and then I think that's it. Thank goodness they didn't make me also put it in standard form. Okay, I'm going to do one more, and then that's probably going to be long enough, isn't it? Yeah, we're getting kind of long-winded here. Sorry, Allison's doing a great job. Okay. In fact, Allison, we may end up doing another one if I'm still under 10 minutes. Here's my 2 points. The first thing you want to do is find your slope. Remember, these are your little x and y's up here. They're an ordered pair. So on your slope, you're going to take your y values and subtract them on the top. It's a fraction. So I'm going to do 6 minus 1. And then on the bottom, I'm going to subtract my x's. So I'm going to do 4 minus 2. So notice I get 5 halves. There's my slope. Now, you can pick any point you want because now I need to find my y-intercept. Remember, that's your b value. I'm going to pick this one just because the numbers are smaller. You would get the same answer even if you use that point because these are 2 points on the same line. So that, to me, is really cool. So if I'm going to use this point, my y value is 1. My slope, unfortunately, is a fraction. My x value is 2 plus b. But this is cool because the 2's cancel. See that? So you have 1 equals 5 plus b. Subtract 5 from both sides. So b equals negative 4. Now I've got the 2 things I need. I got my slope. I got my b. Yahoo! So y equals, my slope is 5 halves, x minus 4. So there it is.
Yahoo!
Yeah, I can write Yahoo. Yahoo! I'm done. Okay. Let's do just one other one.
You're at 8 minutes.
I'm at 8 minutes. Okay, I'm doing great. Let me look real quick at 11C. I'm going to flip and see if there's something that looks difficult. I doubt it because you guys are so smart. Okay, this is actually going to be from 11B. I'm going to do number 15, and the only reason is because I'm seeing negatives out the wazoo. And you have to be, don't make me spell wazoo, you're going to be really careful when you're finding your slope because anytime there's negatives, you have got to be really, really careful. Okay, remember your slope, it says take your x's, take your y's and subtract them on the top. Take your x's and subtract them on the bottom. Doesn't matter what order, okay? Here's your x's and your y's right here. So I'm just going to do this. So I'm going to do negative 6 minus, be really careful, this is a negative 1. You always subtract. And be careful because you're subtracting a negative. So know what that's going to do. It's going to end up doing that, isn't it? 2 negatives. Remember, a minus and a minus is a plus. So be careful. So you're doing your y's on the top. Then I'm going to do my x's on the bottom. So I'm going to do negative 5 minus, it just so happens it's a stinking negative 2. Now remember, when this is going to be a minus and a minus is a plus. So what's negative 6 plus 1? Negative 5. What's negative 5 plus 2? Ugh, negative 3. So these two negatives are going to give me a positive slope of 5/3. And I'm going to circle that because I don't want to lose it. Okay? Now, you always have to have your slope and you have to have your y-intercept. And I'm going to end up running out of room here if I'm not careful. I'm going to do this real quick. Add me another little piece of paper down here. Pick any point you want. It doesn't really matter. Let's just pick this one for fun. It doesn't really matter. You will get the same answer no matter what point you pick, as long as you do your math right. Okay, what's the y value here? My y value is negative 6. My slope, ugly fraction, 5/3. My x value is negative 5. Oh, yuck. Plus b. I was hoping something would cancel, but it doesn't. So notice here I'm going to get what? Negative 25/3 plus b. Gross. Okay, so how are you going to get b by itself? This is a negative 25/3, so you're going to have to add 25/3 to both sides. Okay, if you want to show your work, I'm going to write it in here real tiny. It's kind of hard to write tiny with a fat marker. Okay, in order to add these, one, either use your calculator or you're going to have to find a common denominator, which is 3, which means I'm going to have to multiply this one by 3/3. So notice I got negative 18/3 plus 25/3, which, well, gosh, what's that going to give me? 7/3? Blah. And there's my b. So my final equation, always use your slope-intercept form. You have to have your slope. You have to have your y-intercept. So you found your slope to be 5/3. Go way back up to this messy problem. You see it right there? Your slope is 5/3, and your y-intercept is 7/3. And there you go. I mean, granted, it's ugly, but that's it. Now have fun.